Ethereum just hit 3.4K, Bitcoin dominance is dropping, and Fed Chair Jerome Powell looked like he was about to get fired. In today's video, we'll be talking about all of this, going over the most important charts that you need to pay attention to, and we'll also be covering the news. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Let's jump right into the video. In today's video, let's kick us off with Ethereum. As you can see here, we just crept up right below a very important level, which is $3,500. If we start breaking above 3.5K, it seems very clear to me that Ethereum will want to move much higher. Now, this level has been important for years, and so if we can pivot, it would be absolutely phenomenal. Now, what I'm really looking at here, though, is not just Ethereum, but of course, Ethereum Bitcoin. On the channel, Ethereum Bitcoin has been a very critical component of what we like to call altcoin season. And as I mentioned, if we get solid confirmation above the bull market support band for ETH against Bitcoin, we can likely start to see some more outperformance from the altcoin perspective. And so, right now, what a weekly candle this would be if we are to close like this. Now, as I'm recording this video, it is Wednesday evening, likely to be Thursday morning when you watch it. And so, if we can confirm above the bull market support band and start getting those closes above there, at that point, it would be a very good opportunity to be in altcoins. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Isn't it already too late? Didn't we miss the huge moves for altcoins? Keep in mind, most of my crypto portfolio, as I've been talking about, has been in Bitcoin. And so this would be an excellent opportunity, in my opinion, to start shifting some of that Bitcoin into altcoins to chase some very exceptional gains in the altcoin market. Now, I'd like to see some further confirmation before really jumping in. The reason being, every single time that ETH against Bitcoin broke out above this bull market support band, you can see that we went ahead and got rejected and moved lower. We got rejected and moved lower. We got rejected here with a massive green weekly candle, and then we went ahead and moved lower. And so I want to be a little bit cautious here. I know that a lot of people are already yelling about altcoin season, but ultimately, if you are already positioned in Bitcoin, as I have been for many years now, sharing it on the channel, then you know that I'm still getting some of the best risk-adjusted returns in the industry. So right here, let's see if we get the weekly close above this level, and then we start to get more closes above this level. At that point, I will likely start exchanging some of my Bitcoin into altcoins. We rode the ride of Bitcoin dominance, and so is it going to be time for this to really end? Because this is the other thing that I want to show you. Yes, we are seeing a very significant drop in Bitcoin dominance, and we got rejected, it seems at least now, at the 66% level, which was one of our most important targets that we've been talking about on the channel for months. So am I calling for altcoin season? No, not quite yet, because we have seen this occur. And this happened all the way back in November of 2024, where we had altcoins rising faster than Bitcoin, thus contributing to Bitcoin dominance going down. And we even broke below the bull market support band only to pop back up, and then Bitcoin dominance continued to increase. So what I'm looking at here is, can we first of all get the confirmed weekly closes below the bull market support band? You can see that we actually got 2 weekly closes below the bull market support band for Bitcoin dominance. Now, you might be thinking again, aren't we already too late if we start to get these confirmed closes below? The answer to that is no, because we got the confirmed close below here, we pop back up. And ultimately, if this really is altcoin season, like a lot of your favorite crypto influencers are calling for, we would see this kind of action from Bitcoin dominance. And right now, I am simply not expecting this until we start to get some more closes below. So keep that in mind. I am very Bitcoin heavy, as I said. And so for me to truly consider exchanging my hard-earned Bitcoin for altcoins, I better be getting some much higher gains. And as I always say, there are some outperformers, but right now I want to see some weekly closes below here for me to really dive in. We have a lot of time to prepare. And so if this ends up being a wick, at that point, I will be happy to stick with my Bitcoin position. I don't want to jump the gun too quickly, but obviously, with Bitcoin dominance breaking below the bull market support band, with Ethereum rising almost as high as $3,500, and with ETH Bitcoin potentially on its way of getting its second weekly close above the bull market support band, things are starting to look really good. We cannot ignore that. Now, I also want to go over USDT dominance because we've been covering this trend line at length as well. And you can see here that we've been holding it since all the way back in 2017. Right now, as I'm recording this video, obviously this is the monthly chart, but you can see that on the month, it looks like we want to potentially break below. Now, we've also seen it many times where these just end up being wicks, and so I'm really keeping my eyes close on this one because as we know, if USDT dominance starts holding here, and maybe let's zoom into the weekly time frame to get a better perspective, if we start holding at this white line, then at that point, it would actually be bearish and potentially mark a local top in the crypto market. However, if we start falling below, the next obvious level is around 4%. And if we start breaking below there, then at that point, the crypto market will absolutely explode to much higher heights than we've seen. I know it's very, very exciting, guys. Bitcoin went to $123,000. We came back down to 116K, and then we popped back up. And let me just show you here what scenarios I'm looking at for Bitcoin in terms of a potential trade situation. That would be if we were to actually break to this level, 120 to 120.5K ish. If we get the confirmation above there, hold it as support, at that point, I would be targeting a Bitcoin long all the way up to the highs. However, we cannot ignore the fact that there may be a bearish case scenario, and this could potentially be on the larger time frames, for example, another area of resistance for Bitcoin. So as I zoom out here, maybe we end up getting rejected here, and then we come back down and revisit the $116,000 level. So you have to always be prepared for both cases scenario if you're trading Bitcoin. And as always, if you want to enter the trades that I execute on, you have the first link in my description down below, which brings you directly to my free Telegram community. So this is how I'm going to play Bitcoin, but I am definitely starting to get very, very interested in altcoins as we start to see that ETH Bitcoin breaks above the bull market support band, ETH USD rips, and Bitcoin dominance is now back below its bull market support band. Now let's talk about the news quickly because a lot has happened. First of all, this came out today. The White House said that President Trump is likely going to fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell soon. This is absolutely crazy because, as you know, he's not actually allowed to do this. However, what came out after that was, of course, gold starting to absolutely skyrocket because we know that there was a lot of uncertainty when something like this happens. Of course, gold will keep on climbing. But what I want you to consider here is that I think Trump was really just testing out what would happen if it would actually disrupt the market. And we did see Bitcoin with a little bit of a dump when this was announced. Same thing with the stock market. And so he came out and said that it would cause too much market disruption. And he essentially went back on everything that was said. You know, we even had, for example, the New York Times reporting that President Trump drafted the letter to fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell. And also when President Trump polled Republican lawmakers about firing Fed Chair Powell, he actually received a positive response about it. Then only after the market's reaction, he came out and made comments saying that he is not likely to fire Powell. We are not planning on doing anything. And so this just tells you that he was testing the waters to see what would happen. First of all, I'm not even sure if he's technically allowed to do this, but obviously, if he were to fire Powell, a lot of people were speculating that it wouldn't actually be that great for the market because the guy is just trying to do his job. Let's see what happens if he actually goes ahead and fires Powell. Honestly, I think this would be the first time in history that something like this happens at the Fed. Now, the last piece of major news I wanted to show you is that the US House advanced the Crypto Genius Act, the Clarity Act, and Anti-CBDC Act. This is huge, and I actually asked Grok to explain it to us so you can understand what this actually means. So, as per Grok, it marks a pivot from years of regulatory uncertainty driven by President Trump's intervention after a failed vote, flipping 11 Republican nay votes to yes following an Oval Office meeting. These nay votes from Republican actually came out yesterday, and so he flipped this today. And lastly, the Crypto Genius Act stablecoin regulation requiring liquid asset backing aligns with a 2024 BIS study showing stablecoins handled $100 billion in daily transactions, signaling a shift towards legitimizing crypto as a mainstream financial tool despite democratic concerns over consumer protections. Ultimately, this is extremely positive for the crypto industry. We want to see maximum decentralization, and they're seeing the power of stablecoins. A lot of people are arguing that this is actually the stablecoin cycle, and we'll get into that in another video talking about which altcoins you might want to be looking at if you're interested in the stablecoin industry. But right now, it's very clear. Ethereum did get a pretty significant breakout to $3,400. Bitcoin, while it continues to chop around these levels, seems to be getting a tiny bit of resistance at around 120K after coming back down to $116,000 from the 123K high, but let's see how this develops. This was the trade setup that I shared within my free Telegram community. Perhaps it has already played out because as you can see on the 1 hour time frame, we did get that initial rejection right around 120K. And right now, as per usual, I do have to remind you to exercise a little bit of caution if you're trading Bitcoin and you're not just holding a spot position, because as you can see, more and more longs are continuing to pile into the market after we got this recent correction downwards. And so if we go on the 30-day time frame, you can see that there's around $5 billion worth of cumulative short liquidation leverage, and on the left there is right around 20 billion in cumulative long liquidation leverage. So right here, while we are in an uptrending market, there is a ton of liquidity to be grabbed, and we've seen Bitcoin make some pretty significant 10, 15, 20% corrections before moving higher. And it is still my base case right now as I'm recording this video that Bitcoin dominance will be continuing to increase. I know I started off the video talking about where we might be seeing some potential with altcoins, but I want to wait for the confirmations. As I said earlier, I'm really making sure that I'm ready to change my Bitcoin into altcoins to try and chase some further gains, only to convert it back into Bitcoin. You know my strategy I've been talking about on the channel at length. Another reminder, if you want to join my free signals group, you do have the first link in my description down below where we are trading the market every single day. And the last chart that I want to show you here, again, a very bullish one for altcoins, because we can see now that the entire crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin, continues to rise up here. Now, you'll remember a few videos ago, if you've been following the channel, that the most important area of resistance for me has been the bull market support band. Now, what do I think here? Until proven wrong, my base case with this is that we will likely start getting rejected at the bull market support band. Who knows? There's even a chance that we spike up here only to come back down. But I do think that the total crypto market cap against Bitcoin will likely find its way back to the range lows. Now, the good thing here, because the market seems to be leaning a little bit more bullish, if Bitcoin were to continue to rise up, it should, in theory, rise more than altcoins. Altcoins really do get relief when Bitcoin just continues to chop around. But right now, if Bitcoin is to make an aggressive move down or an aggressive move up, that's the point in time where I do think we would be seeing Bitcoin dominance get eaten up, and then we would go ahead and move higher. So now you know my base case. And that sums up today's video. So altcoins are starting to pick up against Bitcoin. Is this the moment where we're going to flip into a proper altcoin season? I showed you the Bitcoin dominance chart and what I'm actually looking at to start exchanging some of my Bitcoin into altcoins. But for now, I am remaining still holding most of my portfolio in Bitcoin, and I will of course make sure to keep you updated if this ever changes. In the meantime, as Bitcoin dominance starts trickling down, we are seeing altcoins against Bitcoin, of course, going up. And we are seeing Ethereum really starting to shine, hitting $3,400 today. Let's see what happens with Trump and Jerome Powell as well, because obviously we're seeing that just some simple words can impact the market. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.